Europe's stock markets, like many others, are going through a volatile period. The effect of this scandal appears to be limited to the bank in question, though. Societe Generale had its shares suspended at one point after revealing a rogue trader racked up losses of $7.5 billion. Well, Societe Generale has more than 20 million customers worldwide. And as Tim Friend reports, it's already under pressure from the global credit crunch.
Acting alone and somehow managing to bypass all the bank's elaborate security systems, the trader fooled investors and his employers for several months. The bank said the fraud was carried out by a scheme of elaborate and fictitious transactions. It's thought to be the largest ever fraud by a single trader. It was discovered 5 days ago, but by then it was too late. Societe Generale's chief executive immediately offered to quit, but his resignation was rejected by the board.
We discovered in fact a fraud which is going to bring down our results for the year of 2007 to only 700 million. This figure does not endanger the Societe Generale group, but it could, however, hamper our future development.
The fraud rocked a major bank, the second biggest in France, already exposed to the subprime crisis. The trader, who hasn't been named, has confessed. He worked on the futures desk in the French markets division. His supervisors have been dismissed. The events shocked the entire banking sector.
I've seen the Societe Generale communique, and I think there is still some information missing to understand what happened. Because the scale of the fraud is so large, there must be a complex explanation.
The trader used his knowledge of the group's security systems to conceal his fraud, according to the bank. Trading in its shares was suspended, and it's seeking $8 billion in new capital.
Societe Generale is facing a very important fraud. It's a serious affair, but at the same time it's an affair that has nothing to do with the situation in the world markets. I would like to point out that Societe Generale came out with a positive budget report.
The fraud far outstrips the Nick Leeson trading scandal in 1995 that bankrupted the British bank Barings. Tim Friend, Al Jazeera.
Well, to discuss the implications, I'm joined now by the French ambassador for international investment, Philippe Favre, who's in Davos for the World Economic Forum. Philippe, trouble had been expected, but expected from the subprime debacle in America and its effects globally, not from a rogue trader losing 4.9 billion euros. You must all be in shock at the bank.
Yes, I think people this morning were in shock. As you said, the French banking system has been less affected by the subprime crisis than our neighbors. And it came to a shock this morning, but we are seeing that the top management of the bank, with the finance minister, Christine Lagarde, are dealing with it very professionally. We will know more in the coming hours, and we're quite optimistic.
Now, you may or may not have heard the report that preceded this interview, which mentioned Barings Bank and the debacle there, the fraud committed 13 years ago. How is that possible 13 years later?
I don't know how this person was able to conceal such a fraud, and I think we will know much more in the coming hours or the coming days after full investigation. What is very interesting is that the bank was able to deal very quickly with it. As I mentioned, it's a very strong bank in France. It's the second bank in France. It doesn't actually reflect the resilience and the strength of the French banking system. We have very large banks in the Eurozone. These two banks, the BNP and Soc-Gen, are among the largest in France and in the Eurozone. They're doing quite well. I think this is a specific case. It has nothing to do with the subprime crisis and what we're experiencing now on the financial markets. And it will be dealt in the coming days.
But still, it has raised eyebrows. Certainly, traders have been talking this morning. They are very surprised that one trader could have taken such large positions unnoticed. So what they are saying is, what checks and balances are in place?
I think each bank has its own system of check and balance for this case and to deal with this case. If someone was able to avoid them, to escape them, to find loopholes, we will know much more in the coming hours. And I think we have to trust the bank and its CEO to tell us more in the coming hours.
Well, I'm sure you'll be talking about it over the cocktails at Davos tonight. Philippe, thanks very much indeed for joining us.